Hello, our topic for today is from Immortality to Borrow Time, Correlates and Challenges. The main author is Dr. Warren Shipton, and the rest of us include Elvin Walemba, Kamunan Tuwiyan and Jarurat Siratanapapa. For the introduction, the immortality was conditionally given. Genesis 3 verse 2-3. God created heaven and earth with his perfection. The concept of aging and longevity did not exist at the beginning. The dying or aging began after humans fall into sin and represents the ultimate form of corruption. The first corruption led to the change in the operational fidelity of the genetic code. Mutations and other duplication issues leads to the poor outcomes of the living product. Human lifespans in the ancient record was more than 900 years, and nowadays it reduced to 80 years old after universal flood. The search for immortality and the medicine of life is held in many places since ancient time, from the preservation of the body using salt, like making mummy, to the cryogenic experiment and stem cell and cloning technologies. Through all of these experiments, the key to mortality has not been found. So our study is aimed to understand how humanity lost immortality. Our initial focus will be on death, but other forms of corruption will be considered as well. For aging and longevity, living organisms have different lifespans, such as bristlecone pine that could age 5,000 years, houseflies last only 30 days, bacteria only 20 minutes, even cells that have self-elimination system that call apoptosis. Now, what is death? How death is defined depends on the organism being discussed. For bacteria, human, and plant have their own definition. When is death commenced? The first thought might be that death commenced with the slaughter of Abel and Cain in Genesis 4 verse 8. These events involve the shedding of blood, which is associated with the meaning of death in the Bible. Death may represent a point where the initial design function is terminated in order to take on a secondary function. Take a look at the flower plants, such as gymnosperm. They contain programmed death of pollen tube there that may occur on the stigma surface to prevent self-fertilization. And take a look at the seed coat cells. Seed coat cells are subjected to programmed death so that non or few living tissues remain at this site at maturity. Let's explore further by looking at the human body. Looking at the skin is so well organized, that the cells in the epidermis or the outer layer progress from the dividing cells at the lower layer. For human immune system, we have phagocytic cells that help to engulf the foreign body and dispose it among other activities. This means that an effective expulsion and defense system needs to be in place. Some changes occurring after the fall. We will take a look at few aspects. Climate change is the environmental, biological, and ecological changes. Climate change appears to have been an immediate post-fall event. This is inferred by Genesis chapter 3, verse 17-19. Temperature change, thermal extremes influence lifespans. Both invertebrate and vertebrate groups show extension of lifespans under the lower temperature condition. Genetic and ecological changes might also be suggested in the statement that the thorn here and the prickle of the plants would appear. The thorn and the prickle represent a deformation of plant trichomes. Prickle could have arisen through mutation event. Human attitude change. In the beginning, humans were given dominion over creation. The instruction in Bible is to tend and keep the garden in Genesis 2 verse 15. God said we need to Tend and keep. Tend means to serve, administer, and to preserve the earth. Keep means to guard, to protect, and to shield the earth from harm. So attitude expressed by Christian varies from concern for the environment to a view that the human dominion given is for exploitation and for the purpose of experiencing prosperity. The post-flood eating arrangements were most meat. No doubt this has been the result on health. Household arrangement and lifestyles also impact on longevity of human. The controlling and manipulating nature. It appears that the cultivation of plants was a post-fall activity. There was no logical reason for Adam to work in the ground before the fall. Rather, the emphasis seems to be on the God's instruction to tend and keep the garden. We note that both a variety of plants and one group of animals was domesticated within several decades for the fall. For us, this means that the hypothesis that domesticated plants arose from wild varieties is not the only possibility. The reverse hypothesis is also equally viable. Some domesticated plants and animals were actually in the ark. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kamonan. I will cover topic number 4 and forward, challenges. These are the subtopics under the challenges. The first one is health awareness. Christians view human being as two main domains. They are physical and spiritual domains. Preventive medicine is taught in the Bible. So the way of life from the teaching is essence. Decline in longevity has been recorded since Genesis 9 and 11. The cause of death, according to WHO in 2021, the non-communicable disease accounts for 71%, and environmental disease accounts for 23%. As you can see, these are all preventable. 4.2, infectious disease. What does happen? There are many disposition factors that can cause infection. Infection can harm those who have genetically susceptible. And our genetic makeup has changed over the time due to infection. What do we do? Adhere to God's commandments. Sometimes when we, for example, number 7, do not commit adultery. That leads to viral infection in STD or sexual transmitted disease. And we invented vaccine to strengthen our immune, even though we still have to use New Start as another way to help us stronger. And religious and cultural practice is the way of sanctify our body. 4.3, lifestyle and diseases. Nutrition. The plant God taught us to eat plant-based diet. In Revelation 14, verse 6 to 7. Animal-based food impacts longevity, it makes it shorter. Nowadays, overnutrition causes obesity and NCDs. Pollution. Pollution affects everyone, and pollutant, toxins, pesticides affects genetic expression. Environmental predisposition to disease. Air, water, organic pollution are spoiled. The concern had rest among city areas and rural areas. The struggle to solve this problem has been a big issue. 4.4, repair and restoration of the environment. Human activity affects the ecosystem tremendously. We have to restore our world back. So appreciation of ecosystem and function and dynamic are vital. These are the ecosystem maintenance. We will talk a little bit about number 1, number 2, and number 6. For genetic diversity, we need to maintain it. God instructs us to restrict inbreed among closely related humans. After the flood, many live species have genetic defect. genetic diversity. Diversity is the key for plants and animals for surviving the climate changes. Maintaining habitat. Habitat is in a crisis nowadays, and we have to, Bible instruct us to have obedience on creations. Otherwise, God's judgment will come upon us. Climate change accountability. Human activity affects ecosystem. Global warming still an international issue. So it makes us to understand God's salvation, that He wants to rescue all creations, according to Rome 8, verse 19 to 21. Number 5, stewards still. Preservation of nature world is a must. The scriptures recognize the controlled balance of plants and animals. No land exhaustion, such as Jewish has been practiced. And we can learn God's attitude and His commands from Ezekiel 47. He gives good stuff to the people who follow Him. In summary, human race fails from immortality to shorter longevity and death. Changes in environmental, biological, and ecological occur after the fall. The change of the health awareness, infectious disease, lifestyle disease, and restoration of the environment still our challenges. We need to be obedient and turn to God. Take care of our planet that He has given to us. Thank you.